Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here. Welcome to your daily-ish news feed. In this video, we're talking about Retroarch, EmuELEC, Club Penguin, and Nintendo. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off here talking about Retroarch. Retroarch version 1.10.3 was just released, and this update is pretty big. I'll leave a link to the changelog in the description below, and I highly recommend checking it out. We're just going over things at a high level here, and there is still a lot to go over. A large number of cores were updated and improved, and some even got brand new features. Among them was Final Burn Neo. This core is extremely active. If you remember Final Burn Alpha, Final Burn Neo is the, I would say, new version of this core, and it's amazing for arcade games. LRMAIN was just updated to version 0.242, and it's now available for ARM Macs. It's very interesting. Mac is becoming a not-so-bad platform to emulate on, and that's great for emulation. Nestopia here got 4-score support for 6 different new games. ECSX Rearmed has a new auto frame skip mode which will help speed things up if you're experiencing some slowdowns. There's also a new recompiler here that should help out some crashing. On top of that, there's been an entire GunCon overhaul, and this one is big. Cap32, a core for the old Amstrad, has a bunch of new improvements. SMS Plus GX did get some improvements here, and it should be more stable now on Retroarch PSP. Beetle Virtual Boy got a little bit more accurate, and Mezen, a very good NES core, also saw some improvements. Audio-video synchronization should be a little bit better here thanks to updates to the audio batch callback. And also because they set the default audio sample rate to 48,000 Hz, which is down from 96,000. They've also added in 4:3 preserved and 16:9 preserved aspect ratios, which should really help things out whenever you're changing those aspect ratios and make things look a little bit better. Now, speaking of audio batch callback, BSNES was also updated to help out with AV synchronization. Another NES core, FCEUMM or FCE depending on how you want to call it here, got some improvements. Specifically here, an interesting one is an optional fake stereo sound effect, similar to Mezen. SNES 9X 2005 got some audio improvements, including a brand new low-pass filter. SNES 9X 2010 got some audio improvements as well, and they've also improved the save state efficiency and size. They went from 5 megabytes in size all the way down to 830 kilobytes, which is a pretty big reduction. Swan Station, the Retroarch version of DuckStation, also was updated. There's a brand new 60 Hz mode for WonderSwan, Lynx, and Poke Mini cores, and this will be incredibly useful if you're using them on something like a 3DS. By enabling the 60 Hz mode, you're essentially slowing down the refresh rate from something like 75 Hz down to, well, 60. And this should make things fully playable on something like the 3DS, and should also eliminate screen tearing. And last up, if you're an Atari Lynx fan, you might want to check out Handy. They've fixed frame pacing, they've reduced save state size, and they've also added in a brand new optional LCD ghosting filter. This should really help smooth gameplay out. Now, on top of all of that, Retroarch itself got some updates. If you use the Steam version of Retroarch, it's now compatible with Steam Discord Rich Presence. Now, the last thing I want to say about Retroarch, if you're using it on Android, the Google Play Store version is horribly outdated. Right now, it's version 1.9.12, which came out in November. 1.10.3 is available directly from the website. You can download the APK and you're off to the races. Moving on now, and we're talking about EmuELEC, an operating system a lot of people use on the retro gaming handheld devices. As of 10 hours ago, they just released version 4.5, and this is something you'll want to update if you're on a 64-bit device. There are over 60 core updates and emulator updates here with the latest versions available on GitHub. In addition to that, there are a total of 4 bug fixes, but I would highly recommend updating it specifically just for the core updates. Next up here, we're talking about Nintendo, specifically Nintendo Switch Online. There was a leak today that was generating a ton of discussion, and it's the official Game Boy Advance emulator for the Nintendo Switch. It has not been confirmed just yet. Nintendo hasn't said anything. In fact, they took down some videos that showed off some gameplay. Now, the verdict is still out there as to whether or not this is real or fake, but I will say it makes a ton of sense to have a handheld console being played on a handheld console. Although I would argue that emulation on my smartphone is probably better than on the Switch, If you're willingly paying for Nintendo Switch Online, having Game Boy Advance games might actually be something to look forward to. I have no idea when this is going to be announced if it is announced. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Last up here, this one is interesting. We're talking about Club Penguin, something I don't normally play and I don't know if you do. But anyways here, 3 people have been arrested over a Club Penguin fan server. In fact, if you go to the official Club Penguin Rewritten website, well, it says City of London Police. This site has been taken down by Operation Creative Police Intellectual Property Crime Unit. Now, at this point in time, it appears that only Club Penguin Rewritten was affected. For example, New Club Penguin, which is also a fan server, is still alive and well, at least at the time of filming. I have no idea if these other servers are going to remain active or if they're going to get shut down too. But it appears as if Club Penguin Rewritten was targeted because it was an active business venture. They were making money on ads on it. What surprised me about this whole thing is that people were actually arrested about it. And that seemed to come out of the blue. Now, I don't know if there was a cease and desist sent to them and they just ignored it, or if there's more to the story here. But it seems a pretty extreme measure to take just for a fan server. And some people have messaged me asking, what does this mean for emulation? And I will say this is completely different. The people here created a fan-made server and directly used Disney's intellectual property to make money. This is not emulation. And it definitely isn't the first time that Disney has enlisted authorities to help out with stuff like this. Now, in regards to emulators, most emulators nowadays have absolutely no intellectual property built into them. They're built from the ground up. They contain nothing that belongs to the system that they emulate. You can even check out the source code if you want, if they are open source. The companies here who want to go after emulators don't really have a leg to stand on. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. Let me know your thoughts about anything we talked about today in the comments below, whether it was Retroarch, EmuELEC, Nintendo, or Club Penguin. Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos, don't tempt fate, save your state.